"Incoming!" yelled the girl I was supervising as she waved her wand with such enthusiasm that the tray of drinks spilled half its contents on its journey across the restaurant. "Oops," she said. "Sorry." Another wave of her wand cleared up the mess, which would have been fine if she hadn't forgotten the tray in the process. As the glasses toppled through the air, I whipped out my own wand and saved them before they hit the floor. "Thanks," she said, beaming at me. I didn't return her smile. I'd been put in charge of watching the applicants to replace Haley, the Riverside Inn's former bartender who'd been sent for a long stretch in jail for murder. Unfortunately, there was a distinct lack of promising bar staff in town. We'd already dismissed one candidate for sneezing on the cutlery, and I was starting to worry this one would end up being worse than yesterday's, who'd given the wrong order to the notoriously picky Mrs. Terrence and dropped a tray of appetizers on the floor. "You don't have to levitate the glasses," I told her. "It's fine to carry them by hand." "Oh, okay." She picked the tray out of the air and began to carry it to the nearest table. Halfway there, she tripped over her own feet. The tray fell from her hands, and I hastened to wave my wand again to rescue it before the glasses spilled their remaining contents onto the floor. "Sorry," she said, catching her balance. Flustered, she plucked the tray out of the air again, leaving a trail of dripping water everywhere. "Let me take that back," I said to her, shooting an apologetic look at the people sitting at the nearby table and waiting patiently for their order. "You remake the drinks, okay?" As she ducked back behind the bar, I cleaned up the mess with another wave of my wand and levitated the tray back to the bar. As I did so, Allie Forbes, owner of the Riverside Inn, entered from the side door connecting the restaurant to the lobby of the inn. Her long curly hair was tied back underneath her red-brimmed hat, while equally bright red socks poked out from underneath the hem of her cloak. "How's it going?" "It's going?" That was the most positive thing I had to say about the current trial. Dropping my voice, I added, "She can't seem to go 2 minutes without dropping something." "Ah," she said. "Yes, that's not what we want. Go on, send her home. The next one arrives in half an hour." "Sure." I walked back behind the bar to join the girl, waiting for her to finish making the drinks before sending her home, in case I startled her into spilling something else. "Hey, you can go home now. We'll let you know if you got the job within the week." Or rather, as soon as we found someone capable of walking across the room without causing more havoc than a poltergeist in a museum. "Okay, sure." She abandoned the tray, and I finished making the drinks and levitated them over to the right table, this time without spilling them on the floor. "Thanks for giving me a shot," she added. "No worries. If you don't hear back, assume we've hired someone else." I waved her off as she bounded away from the bar towards the door. She might not be good at the job, but that didn't mean I had to take out my frustration on her. I'd been on the wrong side of too many bosses who'd treated me like crap, not to have an iota of compassion in these situations. And I'd also been shunted from one job to another throughout most of my adult life. Sometimes it took a while to figure out the right fit. As she left the restaurant, I sighed and set about cleaning up the water she'd spilled all over the work surface. I wasn't the best at bar work, but I was even worse at dealing with people, living or otherwise. I'd hoped to find a contender with a more customer-friendly personality than mine, who also happened to be suitable for the job, but that seemed too much to ask of the universe today. Mart blew a raspberry after her as she left. "Well, that was a disaster. She's clumsier than a moon-drunk werewolf." I ignored my brother until I was sure the girl was out of earshot. Not that she could actually hear him, since he was a ghost. A good thing, because he'd been flying around, singing at the top of his lungs, and generally making a nuisance of himself in the background throughout her trial. But she could hear me, and I preferred she didn't know the dead were mocking her behind her back. None of the other customers could see my brother either, not even when he danced among the tables and made the glasses rattle. Seeing ghosts was rare for witches, but I was half Reaper, so I was more than used to the presence of the dead in my life, especially Mart, who'd died an untimely death at the age of 18 and had spent the years since then haunting me on a daily basis, and generally making me look unhinged to anyone not in the know about my talents.